Welcome back. Another episode of me continuing on with Dreamland, my base. Here I'm going to be starting off with upgrading my washroom. My washroom I want to put down here. It's kind of off level for where I want it to be ultimately. But as I'm building that washroom, I'm worried that the outhouses won't be available, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm relocating the outhouses to temporarily exist up here. And after they exist, I can then get rid of these and I can put the actual washroom at this location. So this door here can be open. People keep starving even though they're definitely have food. So I'll wait for those to be created and I'll come back, we'll destroy this and we'll set this up such that I can create a washroom instead of latrine. So we're actually going to need some research in order to actually build those washrooms. First of all, I need to have the washrooms themselves, or the sink and the lavatory. But I'll also need a place to store, I'll do that later, the liquid reservoir. So I'll get scientists to do that research, and when that exists, we can build it. But actually, even though that doesn't exist, I know I'm going to need water piped into them. So I'll put that in place now. Now I'm going to change and level this up so I make a floor here. So that's why I've got that pipe looking like this. And I also need a pipe for the polluted water going out. So that's why I've got the second one. Now my outhouses here exist, so I can get rid of these 4 devices. I'm going to keep the door there, build a floor. And by the time I'm back, I should have the research for, oh, there is, speaking, okay, actually, I already have now the research for this, but I also need the research for the storage of the polluted water. Now I do have this water in the way, and I think that's going to be okay for the time being. How's my mushrooms getting along? 26%. I'm starting to think about removing some of these. I'm slowly going to remove them. I'm not going to remove them all at once. That's going to be an issue if I run out of food, but I think I'm okay to start the process of switching to just mushrooms. Okay, so I'm going to clear out this spot here. I'm going to put in an air tile, or 2 air tiles there. And the nice thing here is because I have lavatory or outhouses up there, I'm not really in a rush to complete this. This can be completed when it gets completed. And I'm building 3 for my 3 dupes that are on break at the same time. So this is good, except for the fact that I will also need a place to store the polluted water. That's why I had gotten rid of this. Oh yeah, I'm still doing the research. So the idea is I can take this and have it sent down here. And over here is where I'll temporarily store some of that polluted water. Eventually I'll be filtering it so it turns back to water without food poisoning. But that's later on. Alright, I'll come back when this washroom exists and the research is complete. I'll see you then. So I came back early even though this is not complete because one of the less smart dupes have stuck their head in a tile. So I paused it, asked that to be deleted. Destruction is done at high priority, but I'll mark it as high anyways. Yeah. Fun. Alright, just want to show that bit. So the research is complete. The washroom is almost full, or fully complete. So I'm going to actually preemptively build 2 of these liquid reservoirs, because I do not want one to fill up and back up the toilets or the lavatories. So that will do that, and this will give me the ability to not have an outhouse anymore. So water has already gone in, and I want to remember to delete these, otherwise there's a potential that these will still be used and dupes will be wasting their time clearing them out, which I hate to see. So let's actually made a access to this door here. Let's watch as I believe Builder is going to go open that door by putting their hand on it. This is giving me access to what are they called? Dust caps, 2 of them. That is excellent because these are not fully planted yet. That's good news. I got a little bit more clay. There's a bit of gold algama. Let's inspect these and rummage through them. I might get some shirts that I can get my dupes to wear. Some discs for research for future. There is one, so I'm going to give this to Miner because they spend a lot of time away from the base. I won't bother with the other 2. That just helps them slightly with decoration. The other thing, before I want to get to the main focus, which is solar panel and the research to do that, is I see a lot of polluted oxygen. And as my dupes go through that, they could get yucky lungs, which gets them to consume even more oxygen, which is annoying. So let's resolve to fix that. That can be fixed with the deodorizer. I'll do that research, and I can see here I've got a place to store polluted water. And I'll come back and we'll fix that polluted oxygen issue. So I put in these mesh tiles so I can allow air to go up and down. I have a deodorizer, so that I will put down here, especially where the polluted oxygen exists. In the heavier areas, I'm actually doubling up. Every floor will have 2 deodorizers, and just put 1 in the top 2 up there. Let's see, do we have any polluted oxygen over here? I may even attempt to take care of that as well. Actually, would not be at all a bad idea to put 2 on top of the area where the slime is, just for safety. I might even put 2 here since the polluted water is going to be generating. Whoops, that didn't actually connect. But the polluted water will actually generate polluted oxygen, which isn't a bad thing, but I do want to go through a deodorizer before the dupes have access to it. The other thing I see here, and I'm going to do a save. I will call this one dupe skill. I have the ability now, and I might as well do this early, because earlier I get a dupe benefit. I can use that in the game. So I'm going to choose Miner to have this upgrade. And if they get the sunny disposition, that would be really awesome, because Miner is, because they do digging, they tend to be the farthest away from the base. It's the reason I've given them the fancy sweater. But oh, slime sludge. No. Okay, this okay, I'm glad I realized that. I'm still gonna get Miner to go in. They'll go in quickly and take care of that, but this slime sludge needs to be dealt with. And fortunately, I do have deodorizers, so I have what's necessary to do that. I'm not going to make mesh tile here, just regular tile. But what do we get? Deep diver's lungs. This is awesome. Air consumption is less than 50 grams a second. Again, Miner is going to be spending a lot of the time away from the base, potentially in places that have less oxygen. So that's an awesome skill for them to have. And I have deodorizers. I am very worried about slime sludge. I think this will be okay because it's not going into the main base. In fact, we have this area here. I don't want to drain this because this is actually what's protecting the slime sludge from going into the base. So I will deal with this now rather than just keep hoping it never reaches the base in time. And all I need to do is just make sure I have a lot of these old deodorizers. It's going to distract me a little bit from what I was hoping to do, which is work on the solar panels. But I think this is going to be important enough task. Let me do cancel that one. I actually wanted that to be one higher, just so that the dupes can walk underneath it. And once these are built, powered, the dupes will throw sand in it. And do I I must have sand, right? The other ones are operating, so yeah, there's tons. I've dug out enough sand in this world, I'm sure. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do the same. I might even opt to do the same thing up here. So what I'll do is I'll create all that, and I'll come back when that exists to have a look at it with you. Just have some skills now to give out. So builder, they currently are able to build, dig through granite. I'm thinking carrying is a good skill because that allows them to carry more stuff. And there's a lot for the dupes to pick up and move around. Crop tending definitely for cook. And engineers making their way towards Metatronics. So now I have the ability for the farm station to be used, but I don't have the material for it, which is fertilizer. Well, I might have a little bit of fertilizer. I've got pieces there, but I'm not producing my own. So I can rely on the little bit that I have in the world for now, and that will buy me some time to actually generate my own fertilizer. So there it is, farmer, or cook rather. I'll probably have a dedicated farmer time, but Cook is using that. That has generated a little bit of this micronutrient fertilizer. That's going to be put into these guys here, and that will allow them to grow faster than they currently are. The other thing is I don't like the fact that there's a lot of polluted oxygen around here, so I might aim to get that fixed. And I'll put a deodorizer right here. That, of course, is going to need some power. And that will take care of the polluted oxygen up there. Over here, I'm going to go up here, as I mentioned earlier, and hopefully next time I'm back, I'll have that existence. So the last touches are being put on this area over there. I was thinking about putting some deodorizers over here, but then I realized if I simply dig this out, that polluted oxygen will make its way towards the deodorizers instead. So that just might be a little bit nicer way to go about it. The other thing is I see there's a skill point to give out. Miner, so let's give them super duper hard digging that allow them to go through obsidian and diamond. Scientist will stay on the track of science. That's going to give them the material study terminal access plus a +2. And I will want the material study terminal soon to get some solar panels. The other thing, speaking of solar panels, that's going to generate too much current going through my wiring, so I'm going to upgrade to the heavy watt wires and get that research going on. So let's have a look over here. So still have slime sludge. It doesn't instantly kill them. There's three ways I can think to get rid of them. One is put them in oxygen, so make sure deodorizers are there. The second way is fill them with liquid or physical space blocks, such that you just remove the fact that there's gas at all for them to exist in. Or you could freeze them. Also, having a note, we have a cool slush geyser, which we're guaranteed to have in this particular asteroid, so that's nice. So I mentioned that I want to do material research, and that's for the purpose of having solar panels. So I want to produce power that way rather than burning carbon or coal or having the manual generators, which I hate. So in order to do material research, you need to find some uranium ore. So I have that, or I'm going to have it soon anyway. Apparently not this cycle, but that's all right. So they'll dig that out, and we're still doing the research of heavy watt wires, but I will come back perhaps after I finish the material research station, which I don't remember exactly where that is. Is that no? That's the other type of research. Here it is. Here, actually, I'm going to do not only just this, but I'm going to do the one after it for the rad bolt reflector, or the generator and the reflector. And just before I leave, how about we set the direction? There's really only a need to have the hands washed in that direction. Not necessarily wanting another dupe. A little bit of oxygen through oxidate is not going to hurt. But one other thing. I did want to create a sink here. And I'm going to actually put 2 here because I don't want the dupes with their dirty slime hands going back in this direction to the rest of the base. And if I'm going to do that, well, obviously I'm going to need to give it some water. So let's do that quickly. Oops. If we can, there we are. So this is going to give, oh my goodness. So that's going to give my dupes the ability to wash their hands when they go through the slime area, storage area, as well as cook will always wash their hands when they're cooking, which is a nice thing, I think. A skill point to give out. Apparently there's several things to do. Astronaut. I have to think about this one. Probably only need 1 person that can dig through obsidian. So we can start to work on some other stuff for them. Thinking carrying, just allowing them to carry more stuff as they walk back and forth to all the places. And for this one, I think I'll have both directions enabled. So the dupes are making progress towards the heavy watt wires. They're making their progress going up. Just want to point out, in addition to having access to the solar panels, I want a really cold place to store food. That's minus more than minus 50 actually. That's going to be more than enough to be able to store food, because the food that's produced here will, you can see it says unrefrigerated. Temperatures above 4 degrees spoil more quickly. There's no point in producing these mushrooms, cooking them into fried mushroom, if I'm not actually going to store them in a decent place that they'll last. So that's going to be a high priority. Again, with this game, you got to think oxygen and food. Speaking of which, I think it would be beneficial to have a second diffuser up here. Especially since my dupes are going to be working up in that area. So eventually I'm going to have to get off algae as a source of oxygen. Worry about that in the future. And we just switched to mushrooms. And that's great, as I said, but from food perspective, we now need to divert our attention towards food storage. And getting up to access this area is going to do that. The solar panels in the future, which will be unlocked with material research, which I'll do in the next episode, or near episode, probably next one. That will give me more power to get on to a different source of oxygen. Polluted water, in fact. But I need pumps for that. And we'll be running pumps all the time. I need power. So that's why I'm going to be doing solar panels soon. But food storage is the next thing. I think that's going to do for this episode. Hopefully we'll see you in the next episode. Till then.